What's up, everybody? Well, I got another gameplay video for you guys today, and today we're gonna finish up Watch Dogs Legion at 4K. I do not think it's going to do very good, but we'll still just truck on through it and get through it to show you guys how it runs. So, we're all set up on the board, on the floor and everything. I've got a, my cell phone charger on the ground so I can charge this camera. And we got down to 13% on Friday the 13th. That's interesting. Maybe that's why my car broke today. It's an unlucky day. No, that's all just silly superstition. Probably. Anyway, though, let's move into the game and look at the settings. Alright, starting out our 4K gameplay video here. Full screen, of course, at 4K. We're at the TV's max refresh rate is only 60. We got no VSync or FPS limit. Standard FOV. Alright, let's move on to low settings. Here is the low settings on DirectX 12 here on 4K. So let's just look those over real fast before we do a quick benchmark. And ray tracing will be at the end. Alright, here is the benchmark for low. We maxed out at 78, average 62, minimum 23. There's our 1% lows and whatnot. And our system load. And our OS and CPU, GPU driver, VRAM, and RAM. Okay, starting off with low. We're actually getting over 60 FPS, at least for the moment. Though we're real close to dropping under already just on low, so I can already promise you guys it's not gonna be very playable, probably above medium. Hell, even medium might drop it down to like 50 FPS or something like that, or high 40s. I don't know. We'll find out soon though. But right now this is totally playable. And it's doing it at 4K. That's pretty impressive. Seeing as the laptop was never claiming to be a 4K laptop whatsoever. Hell, it doesn't even claim you should be hooking it up to monitors and stuff, but that shit gives it more performance. I'm sure AMD didn't want people not knowing that. They didn't give it a mux switch. Because now they're going to give you one on every single laptop in 2022, so they say. We'll see if that comes to fruition. Yep, you can't be out. No, no. Pish posh. Tally ho. Anyway, let us move on. Alright, starting off our camera recorded gameplay now. On low at 4K here. I'm actually surprised we're getting over 60 FPS at all. At least on low, it's completely playable. And really doesn't even look that bad. I was expecting it to look like complete crap. But most people that want to play at 4K probably don't want to play at low, just saying. And if it's already this close to going under 60, see, look, we're actually already under 60. Not by much, but still. Medium is probably going to tank us. We'll see, though. Just being realistic, though. This was never, claimed to be a 4K laptop. But with all that VRAM and whatnot, figured why not give it a shot. And in some games it does alright. Mostly older titles, admittedly, but still figured we would get this tested for people that are curious, you know? Let's go around him and just snake our way in here. And with that, let's move on. Moving right along to medium preset. We're still on DirectX 12, of course, medium preset. So let's look over all the settings real fast. I like games like this that actually tell you what they do and try to show you an example, you know? That's nice. A lot of games don't do that. But, let's move on. Okay, so medium benchmark's all finished. We maxed at 67, average 55, and minimum of 22. There's our percent low or 1% lows up there. And our system load right there. There's our operating system and GPU, RAM, and driver, and VRAM and RAM and all that. So, let's move on. Time now for some medium gameplay. Alright, we're just gonna try to go out the door. There we go. Alright, well, we're still in the getting at least somewhat close to 60. It seems like we're in the high 50s for majority of the time. So I would say, so far, that even medium at 4K is pretty playable. Still has its drops, don't get me wrong. I can definitely tell when it stutters and drops below 60. At least once it goes like around 55, 54. But beyond that, I probably wouldn't be able to tell like what it dropped down to. Especially not without a frickin' whatchamacallit. Afterburner up in the left corner, you know? Most people do not run that shit. They just want to play the game. They do not care about what frame rate they're getting. At least not 24/7. I'm doing this so you guys have an idea of what it's getting. And temps and all that good shit too. But alrighty, let us move along. Alrighty. Well, now we're on medium preset. And it's still actually pretty playable. I'm actually surprised. I figured this was going to drop right down to like 30, 40 FPS. So that's kind of impressive. So, let's just run around a little bit, get a minute or so of gameplay here. Alright, there's a bike coming, but if I just do that, I shouldn't get in his way too bad. Probably not supposed to be in here, but I'm going to anyway. Alright, good. I thought that weird cop guy was going to be like, "Oh, go trespassing, shoot him in the face." That seems to be like the rule of this world. You break law, die. Alright though, there's about our minute of footage, so why don't we move on to the next graphics setting. Now we're going to do high graphic preset. But first, let's look through all the settings that entails. That way you guys know. And ray tracing, of course, will be at the end. Here is the benchmark for high on 4K. We maxed 56, averaged 49, got minimum of 21. There's our 1% and 0.1% lows, and our system load right there. Operating system, GPU, CPU, all that good stuff down here. Alright, let's get ourselves a little bit of some high gameplay in. Oh, motorcycle and a scooter. I can't imagine how annoying it must be following a scooter on a motorcycle. Although I guess in the city when the speed limit's like a max like 30, doesn't really matter how fast your shit is. I mean, even a guy on a bicycle can probably go like as fast as traffic is supposed to go. But on like side roads and shit. But no one ever really said scooters are meant for out where I'm out in the country area, so it's more of a city thing. Since we're on high, let's get high. Well, that guy has some saucy language. I saw someone call someone a cockmonger. That's a new one. Okay. Let's move on. Well, now we are on high graphics settings for our camera recorded gameplay, and as you can see, it's even without recording, it's still not getting great FPS anymore. So for me, this is borderline not super playable. Alright, well that was amusing. Underground, huh? Hey, it looks like it's finally starting to be daytime again, too. We'll get to see which was more demanding, day, night, or if they're kind of equal. Alright though, let's move on. On to the very high graphics preset now. So a quick look we will have at these settings right before a quick benchmark. And of course, that will be at the end, the ray tracing, I mean. Okay, very high benchmark done. We got 51 max, 42 average, 22 minimum. There's our 1% low and our 0.1% low. Here's our system load and VRAM, RAM, CPU load, GPU load, even though it doesn't work. Operating system, GPU driver, VRAM, and RAM. Man, that guy's all pushy. If I wasn't dressed up as like a middle-aged businessman, I would have socked him in the face. But they look like the type of people that would destroy this guy. And besides, I'm supposed to be getting to the stupid dot back there anyway. But I'm trying to get you guys footage instead. Here's a pretty nice area. Hey, there's a bridge. I guess like there's no walkway up to it. I was gonna try to just cross the bridge. Instead, I'll just go under the bridge and be a troll. Along with these other fine trolls. Nah, I'm just kidding. Hey, there was some stairs right there. I did not notice them when I was actually playing. I was too busy just like walking down the road, getting that gameplay. Anyway, though, it's time for us to move on. Well, now we are on very high graphics settings on 4K. It's definitely not getting very good FPS anymore, but I'm still surprised it's not already down to like 20 FPS. I kind of figured we were going to be there a long time ago. So it's still impressive. Not ultra playable for me, but I'm sure many people could find this completely playable. I mean, at least it's smooth FPS. The thing that irritates me most is like low FPS like this when you're in like a thing that's only a first-person shooter. Now, I know there is some shooting in this, so I would still like a little bit more in this personally, but some people are used to like 30 FPS and whatnot, and will take that and super crazy crisp graphics over frame rates and having it not look as good. That's why they give us all these options after all. Because no two people are the same. He's doing some cleaning of some graffiti. Alright though, I think that's good enough. Why don't we go move on to ultra quality? Alright, moving on to ultra here. Let's just look at all of these settings. It's starting to say it's using quite an abundant amount of RAM, but I don't know if that's really what it's using. That might just be the allocation bar for all we know. And ray tracing will come last. Alright, benchmarks all done for Ultra. We got 39 max, an average of 33, and a minimum of 20. There's our 1% and 0% lows. There's our system load tab, which has VRAM, RAM, and CPU load. The GPU load doesn't work for whatever reason. Don't know why. Operating system and CPU right there. I don't know what that red button thing is there. I don't know if that was always there or not. Anyway, let's move on. We got ourselves some Ultra gameplay now. So let's just run around and get a little Ultra gameplay. Definitely feels like I'm playing this on like a console, minus the fact that I got pretty graphics. This is the main reason I didn't like being on consoles. I don't really like this kind of low FPS. It just feels sluggish and meh. But that's just my opinion. I got a 100 Hz 1440p monitor and I never looked back. I could never stand like going back to 60 ever again, even almost. Like even 60. 60 literally feels like the bare minimum to me now. But that doesn't mean I can't play a game at under that FPS. I just would prefer not to. Well, that old lady was giving that guy the business. Wow, this building got all fucked up, it looks like. Bunch of posters. Anyway, let's go by this place. And now, let's move on. Alright, we are on Ultra now. Doing some camera recorded gameplay. Only getting about 30 FPS here. But still actually surprised. I figured, again, we were going to be in the teens. But that'll probably happen once we turn on ray tracing. That is probably not going to go well at 4K, but we're going to do it anyway. We've done it on all the other resolutions and whatnot that way, so it'd be absolutely silly not to do it the exact same way. I still regret doing that in what other game? I think it was Cyberpunk, where I went back to high at 4K before doing ray tracing. Should have just kept it the same on all the videos, but hey, you live and you learn. Ooh, this looks kind of cool. What's this area? Is this an old movie theater or playhouse? But in any case, I think it's time for us to move on. Now we're moving on to the ray tracing section. It's going to say custom, but everything is basically still on ultra, but we've turned ray trace reflections on to medium now. So we won't be coming back to the screen more, because all we're going to do is change that 2 times from now. Alright, benchmark's all done. We got a max of 22, average 16, and a minimum of 12. There's our 1% low and our 0.1% low, and our system load. We're really getting close to maxing out that RAM now. Operating system, CPU, GPU, driver, VRAM, and RAM. Well, alright. We've got ourselves on ray tracing medium now, so let's get a little gameplay. The FPS is terrible, so I'm definitely paying attention to that timer so I don't go too far. I do not want to waste a bunch of time, but I at least want to get a minute in. I'd much rather get like 30 seconds in, but that's too little gameplay. 1 minute is bare minimum, I feel like, for gameplay. And it's really hard to even make it viewable on one of those whatchamacallit chapters on YouTube if you don't make it at least a minute. People like almost can't even like click on it with their mouse. Hey, what the hell? It's like you stopped so I would hit you. Dumb driver. There's a G-Wagon. Fish and chips. Alright though, let's move on. Now we've got ray tracing on medium. So now we're getting like in the teens already. So hell, we'll probably be in the double digits when we put it up to ultra. Hell, maybe even on high, we'll see. But still, figured we'd get our minute or so of gameplay. Because like I said before, it's not like we're actually fighting anybody, we're not doing anything. We're just running around, checking out the sights, as to speak. And I also decided to turn the TV up a little bit, seeing as though now you can hear me pretty well when I do this. But then I noticed when I was editing, you can't hear the game as well as before, just having like the camera sitting in front of it. So figured the best thing I can do about that to try to have the best of both worlds is just turn the TV up a little bit. We're nowhere near like blowing the speakers out. I think we're at like 35% volume or something like that. And I'll just keep on raising it until it sounds good when I'm editing. I think that's a good way. That's like an old Jag. That's cool. I like that Jaguar. Anyway, though, it's time to move on. Here's the benchmark for, what was it? High ray tracing. We went all the way down to a max of 20, average of 14, and a min of 9. System load's still maxed out, but I doubt it really is. And alright. Now let's move on. High ray tracing gameplay now. So, let us take a quick stroll down the road here. In our teens of FPS here. Yep, this is very, very unplayable. I do not like this. I wonder if this... Can anybody honestly tell me, is this playable for anybody else? Would you like turn it up just so you could see all the pretty graphics, but it runs like crap? It's not an insult or anything, I'm just curious, because I want to know how many people are out there that actually would be willing to play this game like this. If any. And we still have one more to do after this. There's still Ultra. ray traced reflections to do. Well, first, there's a camera recorded gameplay, of course, but then we're moving on to ultra ray tracing. Let's just run right down the damn mill. You know what? Damn, that's a pretty futuristic looking bus. It's not Dracula bus. The bus of the undead. That's quite the conversation. Anyway, let's move on. Well, now we are on ray traced high, which didn't really seem to drop the frames too much. Seems to be getting about the same FPS it was getting before. But during the benchmark anyway, it said we got like 9, so we dropped into the single digits at least on the benchmark, but I haven't seen it as such actually in the game. And we're using, wow, 11 gigs of RAM. Well, whether or not it's actually using them or it's just allocating them, but that's what Afterburner says. So we're not completely maxed out like the benchmark says. The benchmark says we've been maxed out like ever since we started turning ray tracing on, but I thought that was a little suspicious. I got like 12.2 gigs of RAM on this thing. And alright, now let's go do the last graphics test. Well, Ultra RT is all done. We maxed out at 18 this time, got an average of 13 and a minimum of 7. So we're under in single digits now. Same with our 1% lows and whatnot. And our VRAM says somehow we're over what it's allowing me to use, but that's about how much RAM I really do have. Let's see once we get in the game if it's really true. Well, here we are on Ultra Ray Tracing. And wow, FPS. Or rather, lack of there. Though, in a lot of ways, it doesn't seem that different from all the rest of them. Alright, maybe it does. Once you get like close to all the like cars and puddles in the road, yeah. I don't think we were dropping down to quite 13 before. I think we were like maxing out like a low of 14, 15 or something like that. But that's okay. Let's just get a little bit more. And then we'll move on camera, and then we'll be done. And it's not that I don't like making these, it's just I can't wait to be done once the game starts running like this. It's just no fun. Sometimes I get into it and like make some of the gameplay like 3 minutes long each, and I gotta like trim some shit down. Otherwise the video will be like an hour long. And I like to try to keep mine at about 30 minutes, 40 minutes tops. If there are a lot of settings. So I guess I'm not going that way. Alright though, let's move on. Well, now we're on ultra ray tracing mode and getting about 15, 16 FPS most of the time. This is absolutely terrible, but we just gotta keep on trucking through. We're almost done after all. This is the last resolution there is to test as well. So after this, we're done with the whole game. And I was pretty surprised. It ran pretty good at 4K until we got to high. So you could run this game just on medium. Or just customize it. Turn some things on high. And you might even be able to get like 60 FPS with like stuff on high, like what do you call it, textures and stuff. I usually like to at least have my textures on high, because that's like what you're looking at. That's like everything. And that's just me, though. Not trying to shove my opinions down people's throats, just voicing them. But I'm pretty sure most people can agree this is pretty unplayable. Though I could be wrong. Maybe this is playable for some people. That's why I like at least testing it, just so you know how it runs. But, alright, I think that's good enough. So why don't we go and wrap this video on up? Well, alright guys, that is a wrap for, what was it? Oh yeah, Watch Dogs Legion. Kinda had a brain fart there. But we're all done with that. It did pretty good actually. It did all the way up to medium, getting playable FPS, and I was surprised. I figured we were gonna drop right down to like 30 FPS like the second we turned it off like a lot of other games at 4K. But even high wasn't awful. I mean, I wouldn't like it that much, but if it was the only thing I had to play on, I could play it. Anyway though, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and until the next one, peace out guys.